You live in a gated community.
It's called a gated community.
To me, the gay community has started to become bullies.
Have you ever thought how your life might be different if you were gay?
Racism is alive and well in the gay community.
I just want us to have an open conversation, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, anybody. I want this to be a safe space for everyone.
Lord, I think I done pulled into I done pulled into somebody's gated community.
Gay community as us is a trans community.
Who is having that conversation?
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Gated Community Podcast. I know it's been a while. It's been a minute. I ain't even gonna hold y'all like, it's been a lot going on. But, I'm back and I am glad to be with you. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. Tonight, we're going to be speaking about loyalty in the workplace and what that looks like. Let's explore that. Let me know how you feel about it on Twitter at RatedGated, on Instagram at The Gated Community, on TikTok at The Gated Community, on OnlyFans at
Please Give Me Cock.
No, I'm just playing. Let me know how you feel about this one. So there's like 4 different measures of work. There's work.
Bitch, I need you to carry, bitch. Carry, please. Whoop. Oh!
Work.
Work. You send me heavy work.
It's putting in that work. And then there's work.
30, so I have about like 3 hours before everyone is either leaving work or coming over, so I feel like I'm in a good spot. Corey's gonna start now, and everything else is gonna be perfect. Yeah.
Work is in a job or a career.
They're taking black jobs now.
Is it really about the logistics of work and life, or is it about power? Who sacrifices for whom, and why must someone always give first? In continuation with the loyalty series, I'm back tonight with another episode, this time focusing on loyalty in the workplace.
Loyalty.
So recently I read something that reads, your salary is the bribe they give you to forget your dreams. And I believe that. I believe it because some people can be bought. Some people have a price. Once upon a time, I didn't know what I know now. It's not easy moonlighting in various industries to generate revenue that will support your dream. And I mean, I can only speak from experience. So I'm an accountant by day.
Look at you with your button down. I love it. You just came from work? Yeah, cool. What do you do? Accounting? I knew it. You have such accounting energy. Just numbers. Gotta count the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
For those of you listening who work in finance, I'm sure you understand how grueling my job can be. And notice my preferred language. Words mean things. I said job instead of career because being an accountant doesn't necessarily make me happy. It doesn't ignite my passion, nor is it something that I love to the point that I do it for free. But it pays the bills. And my earnings for my labor is enough to sustain my lifestyle until I'm able to fully invest in myself with a profitable return on my investment. What's my passion? Well, one would be podcasting. The Gated Community Podcast.
This is a gated community. Please get the fuck off the property.
This message has been brought to you by the Gated Community Podcast.
My audience, the Gaybers, you. See, with my podcast, I get paid in dopamine, and those payments come in the form of your comments, your feedback, promoting viable positive change in my little corner of the world, and influencing my followers, no matter your age, to want to do better and be better.
You got to do better, and you got to want to do better. And if you're not better, want better so you can practice being better for yourself.
And although I've been in this media game, giving you 2 seasons and counting for over 2 years, I'm just getting started. And sometimes, yes, I do wonder if I should be much further along than I am.
Ain't I supposed to be further and bigger than this? When I walk in a room, don't they know what it is? Trying and nothing about it just hurts like a bitch. Put it under my bed and I pray that it fits. All this heavy shit.
I I wonder if my demanding job is bribing me to forget about my dreams, but that'll never happen. Although it seems to regulate the dictations of my progress. Sometimes at the end of the day, I don't have the energy to think about cracking my laptop to work on the podcast. I'm mentally drained, and I never give you any less than my best. So I decide to rest instead, thinking rest will replenish nourishment and energy. My expectation is to be 100% the next day, when I might be ready to record. Then the next day becomes today, and today has other plans, and now I'm mimicking yesterday. Then that turns into another day, then another week. And before I know it, I'm releasing part 2 of the Loyalty series 3 months later. Actually, no, it's been a little longer than 3 months. Yeah, I know it's been like more than 3 months. My apologies. But my allegiance will always be to my podcast. I'm devoted to it. I'm devoted to you. Pious even. But the perpetuity of my responsibility will undoubtedly be my job. And in that way, I'm no different than any other content creator, trying to balance my work and my passion on the tightrope of liminality, soliciting personal encouragement of tenacity from myself for myself. I remain loyal to the cause because there were times, recent times, where I had thoughts about forfeiting GAYTED because I wasn't seeing or feeling the intangible return on my investment. I wasn't feeling the loyalty. To me, time is more valuable than money, and I invested so much time into giving you me. I see my peers surpass me, no big deal. I support them without envy because while they're doing their thing, no one can do what I do the way that I do. No shade.
The fuck out of here, bitch. I ain't the plus one, I'm the one. That's why.
Just as I'd probably fall flat at filling their shoes.
For a couple of hours, and
Wait, nah. I'll take that back. I'm sure I could.
Okay.
Probably even better.
Whatever that means.
But I'm not here to compete because I'm only interested in being Corey.
Let's get to Corey. Salute to Corey.
Producing for GAYTED for the moment, anyways. But you know, the one thing that had me ready to throw in the towel with GAYTED outside of my job barely giving me room to breathe is the lack of support that I'd receive.
Intrusive thoughts loading.
I mean, through this process, I've learned that strangers will support you before those who are closest to you.
Stranger danger! Stranger danger!
And that's not a good feeling to have when you continue to show up for others with no reciprocity. Much like how your sometimes unrelenting boss or that coworker you continue to cover for, or your work husband who will throw you under the bus to save themselves. Yeah, because we finna have that conversation. Wait, did I just say finna? Oh my God, my mom is gonna kill me when she hears this. Sorry, Mom. The Loyalty series. The Loyalty series. The Loyalty series.
This is part 3, Loyalty in the Workplace.
Picture it in my Sophia Petrollo voice. Glendale, California, 2019. I was the staff accountant for a startup tech company that eventually went public. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. When I first started in 2018, I was consulting for the company for about a year before I was asked to onboard. The bright side, I knew what I was getting myself into because I basically had a year to figure out if this was the beginning of a beautiful friendship. The dark side, I thought I knew what I was getting myself into. So the office setting was one of business casual with a heavy emphasis on casual. Organized chaos was the name of the locomotive that kept the place going. It could easily mask as a backdrop of the boardwalk of Venice Beach, if Venice Beach was in Silicon Valley. To paint you a picture, it was normal for the engineering team to attend work wearing graphic tees, cargo shorts, and flip-flops. We had a Pac-Man arcade machine that was to be of use to everyone as a stress reliever. I needed a punching bag. A couple of scooters were housed in the office for anyone who wanted to take a quick trip to the Glendale Galleria around the corner. And living in Los Angeles, I'd ridden those more than I'd ridden anyone else in LA. But that, my friends, is for another episode. Maybe I should do like a GAYTED After Dark series. What y'all think about that? Get in my OnlyFans era. Because, baby, listen, when I tell y'all I done seen some things, I done been some places, and I done seen some things, and I done did some things. Anyways, Corey, focus. Okay.
Give me cock. Please give me cock. Please.
The work culture was homogenous. To be the only Black person working there for the first couple of years that I was there, I fit right in like a hand in a glove. I didn't feel out of place at all. But then again, I can pretty much get along with anybody because I'm cool like that. I'm cool like that. I'm cool like that. I'm cool. Everyone was cool and it became a place I look forward to going. You know, some people, they have these jobs and they wake up every morning to get ready for work and they're like, damn, fuck my life. I do not want to go to this place. I can't wait to leave and I ain't even there yet. That was not my experience. But then I got a new boss.
Covering all my bases, making sure that if something happens to me or my family or all of us, that our assets are documented. Hope everything works out and we're all happy and live happily ever after as much as that's possible.
We had one of those one-sided relationships where he thought and acted as if we were comrades, whereas over time, I constantly felt gaslit, taken advantage of, used, and even unrecognized. To others, these unethical behaviors were ostensible until I began to speak up and out. He was the VP of Finance and I was a staff accountant, being groomed for a controller position according to his ambition. Not my own. I had no intentions of being anyone's controller. That was not on my bingo card. But before I go any further, I think it's worth mentioning that he's from North Africa. And the country within North Africa of which he's from has a culture vastly different from Western within the democracy, freedom, and equality of which we claim to practice here in the United States. And this is not me being a xenophobe. This is me giving you clarity. For example, when we would have discussions about my salary increases, his reasoning for not giving me one was because of my age.
It's a man. Why are you being so... Are you homophobic?
This is one example within an example of gaslighting. He, in so many words, informed me that I was too young to be paid the salary that I worked extremely hard for, the salary that I'd earned.
Loyalty.
Mind you, we were 1 year apart. He was the older of the two of us. I was 37 at the time. This is when I first realized that he placed a proverbial bar in my tenure where he'd move the goalposts each time I came close to the goal that he'd set for me in order to earn that raise. The mark would move by just a couple of inches. He'd never planned to pay me the salary I'd earned, and he knew that, but at the time, I was clueless. That's one thing about hindsight. It's going to be 2020. And because he never planned to pay me the salary that I'd earned, he'd string me along and placate me with insignificant bonuses that were equivalent to a pizza party. If you know, you know. And I know y'all know, but at the time, again, I didn't know any of this. I mean, I wasn't in a state of oblivion, but at one point, I'd become so overwhelmed with work, I didn't have the time to think about the things that were unfair. And after any given workday, I was too exhausted to give it any thought. A little about me personally, my work ethic has a lot to do with how I was raised. Integrity, integrity, integrity. I go above and beyond regardless of how my value is computed by others, more so because what others think of me has nothing to do with me. I put my best self forward and give things my all because my brain understands that less than is not an option. Even if I and everyone around me advises me to match energy based on how others treat me, my body will turn against me if there's any attempt on my part to be less. I'm a perfectionist, and because I am this way, this is one of the things that drove me into cognitive therapy. Many of my sessions were about my boss, no bullshit. At this point, I knew he was playing in my face, and it was something I struggled with addressing because I know me. I know me well enough to know that in situations like these, I throw all discernment and the think before you speak mantra out the window, and I do things and say things without regret that you just don't come back from.
Shut up, bitch. I'll punch you in your mouth. You irritating me, ho. Stay the fuck away from me, real shit. Now, bitch, you back on my hit list. Bitch, you back when I'm disrespecting your whole family. Bitch, you back to that. Stop playing with me, bitch. I ain't say shit about you and...
Because you don't have to like me, but you're gonna respect me.
Anywhere you see me, you better respect me.
And just thinking about it now, like sitting in those therapy sessions, I just really couldn't believe, like, I'm still kind of gagging at the fact that I was in there. I was in therapy talking about this sort of unfair treatment that I was getting from, one, a person who I see every day for at least 8 hours a day, and two, a person who in his mind thought that we were friends. But sometimes I feel like maybe he had like this disconnect, like some sort of cognitive dissonance. Like maybe he really did think that, we were friends, and, maybe he really didn't think that he was doing anything wrong. wrong, or maybe he really did feel justified in saying that, hey, I can't give you this, or I'm not going to give you this because of X, Y, and Z. But one thing that I've learned is that you don't move with feeling, you always move with fact. And that's what I had on my side. I had the facts of why I deserved to get what I was asking for, but he had the authority to tell me yes or no. And that caused friction until it got to the point to where, yes, I was in therapy. I mean, y'all, I was having dreams about this man, and not in the way of which was pleasurable.
Please give me cock.
I mean, I was furious with him. I was furious with myself for allowing myself to let him get in my head like this. I mean, I had my ways of getting back at him and at the company because he has the answer to somebody. And obviously the person that he answered to also understood what was going on.
Loyalty.
Like, we're not dealing with stupid people here. And also me being in a position where I'm putting my blood, sweat, and tears into something, and I'm giving you my time, and I'm giving you everything that you ask for in an employee while surpassing those requests for leadership and upper management to tell me, well, that's just kind of how these things go.
Loyalty.
Woosah. So in my line of work, there's a massive amount of financial reporting that I'm responsible for completing every month. For my listeners who work in finance, to the Gabers who work in finance, the monthly and year-to-date internal financial statements sourced from P&L reports, balance sheets, and cash flow statements. I'm sure you're familiar with these things. Being responsible for preparing these for my boss, the VP of Finance, the CEO, and the board of directors. In addition to managing and processing and maintaining sensitive financial records within GAAP compliance and monthly and annual and quarterly closes and
God, stand back, she's gonna blow.
Journal entries and maintaining the competence of the general ledger and full cycle payroll, which gave me insight to everyone else's salaries, increases and bonuses. Dealing with capital leases and financial agreements and employee advances and accrued interest and vendor payments and AP and AR and employee reimbursements and preparing 1099s for over 300 contractors. And I was acting as the liaison with tax attorneys for business taxes, and I approved time for hourly staff, which were upwards of 100 people, and I rectified payroll discrepancies and calculated salaries for new hires and terminations and resignations and earnings for commissions and suppressed deductions. And if you work in finance, you know that you have to maintain monthly schedules, which can also be a lot, like payroll taxes and payroll accruals between hourly and salaried employees to show payroll projections for the next payday, because these two groups were paid according to two different pay cycles. 401k liabilities, PTO accruals, health benefits, multiple corporate credit cards. Y'all, I was doing a lot. I had to have the proper knowledge to calculate taxes for out-of-state employees. I dealt with garnishments, employee reporting, and reimbursement. That all went through me. Shall I keep going? Okay. A daily audit of the corporate bank accounts. I did that. I prepared quarterly taxes for employer COVID relief under the CARES Act. During the pandemic, there wasn't a dollar that came into and went out of that place that I did not know about. You want to know what else I didn't know about? My boss taking credit for everything that I just mentioned.
Loyalty.
Goodbye. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember when I said I felt unrecognized? Yeah, well, this.
Stupid ass bitch.
You see, my boss had to have a good reason for his boss, the CEO, to give me a salary increase. And since he was taking the credit for the work that I'd been doing for the last year, his reasoning came up short. And it was easy for him to inherit the credit for everything that I was doing, because everything that I did that he was responsible for went to him for approval and then to his bosses in finality. His superiors had no legitimate reason for coming to me for things until we were breached by the COVID pandemic. But I'll get there in a minute. I wasn't the only one working here. So was corporate politics. How? Because I was responsible for doing the work of 3 people while my salary reflected the wages of 1, and I was being recognized for none. And then I was labeled as uninterested, inattentive, and not wanting to be at work by the CEO because I would multitask by bringing my laptop to work through meetings while listening to things that could honestly have been sent in an email. So in these meetings, I would have my head buried in my laptop and barely had time to raise my head to acknowledge the things of importance because I was too busy catching up on things from the days prior.
Loyalty.
Like, please, sir, disregard my efforts and find something to complain about here. I beg you.
All right, wait. Don't you hate when a bitch keep feeling it? And you don't know why she's feeling it, but she's just feeling it. You like, she's just feeling it. You look over and she's feeling it again. And you just want to go up and just slap the you know what? It's just times where I know y'all know what I'm trying to say, but I just can't say it. You know, oh, girl, listen. Girl, light that, please. Thank you.
March 15th, 2021.
The day I submitted my letter of resignation. It was 1 year after the pandemic, days before the office closed, right before the pandemic was announced in 2020, and we all went remote. Ironically enough, I was interviewing assistants. And then here we are 1 year later, and the position for my assistant was conveniently put on hold. Instead of gaining an assistant, I was gifted with more work from my boss, who was over in North Africa acting as the caretaker for both his parents who'd contracted COVID. And because he was out of the country in a significantly different time zone taking care of his parents with failing health, it was left up to me to fill his void. Remember, just remember, this is good for the notch on the bar that he moves when we address a salary increase, but remains obtainable for that controller position that he envisions for me. But fuck that, I'd had enough. I was in pain from the actions of those entrusted with protecting me. I was angry and unhappy, and it was spilling over into my personal life. I'd given time to my thoughts, and I made a decision that I was not going to allow him to be responsible for poisoning my spirit to a point where it may lead to my brokenness.
Loyalty.
Where I would leave and go to the next job and establish relationships with my superiors, where I would treat them with vitriol for the things I'd experienced with him. Because whether we realize it or not, we're all in relationships with our work peers. And if we allow them, they can hurt us in the same exact way as a romantic partner, a sibling, a friend, or in a way that a parent could.
The Loyalty Series. The Loyalty Series. The Loyalty Series.
Loyalty amongst friends. Loyalty in the workplace, loyalty with parents, and loyalty in dating. I'm going to share some personal experiences where loyalty has been compromised, manipulated, and even sabotaged. My stories will not be exclusive to negativity. I think it's important to illustrate what loyalty looks like by exploring both sides of its spectrum, which includes its positive reinforcements.
Y'all tired of me yet? I can keep going?
Carry on.
All right, cool. So, as you can imagine, going through this in the middle of a pandemic certainly made living through the day an accomplishment. Simultaneously, therapy proved to be an awakening experience that provided an outlet for insight, free speech, reflection, intuition, and introspection. It aided in contextualizing a breakthrough.
Reclaiming my time.
Several times.
Reclaiming my time.
When we were doing our
Reclaiming my time.
The time belongs to the gentlelady from California.
I don't want to waste my time on me.
On the day I submitted my resignation, everybody gagged.
Y'all always try to be secretive. And when y'all become secretive, secret shit happens to y'all. Okay.
My peers and my colleagues, they reacted as if they just witnessed two aircrafts deliberately fly into a twin tower. No shade. Later that day, my boss had a heart attack.
What he failed to tell you was, when you're on my time, I can reclaim it.
The next day, he sends me a selfie of himself in a hospital bed with a text message that reads, "This is your fault. How could you leave me?" Hi, Gaslight. It's me again.
Hi, Gay.
Listen, if that dramatic selfie was supposed to move me in ways that would conjure sympathy, it didn't. I expected him to be upset. Upset is a very natural reaction to a person who believes they've done everything right and done nothing to solicit any type of disruption or resignation. I'm very good at what I do, and he did not want to lose that. But the real reason he was upset is because he had 2 weeks to figure out how to effectively do everything that I did. My daily responsibilities and the extras.
Motherfucker, the real nigga I wanted, he ain't come to the club that night, boo. I know that makes you real mad.
Remember when I said his superiors had no legitimate reason to approach me? Well, the pandemic changed that. The more absent he was with them, the more present they were with me. And miraculously, I was positioned to be beyond reproach. Sometimes timing is everything. Although I'd always known it, I was now being recognized as an asset. I was no longer the rude, disrespectful employee who buried his head in his laptop to avoid engagement in meetings. Leadership and CEO were surprised to learn the amount of work I'd been doing and how it was so easy for me to fill in for my boss. Surprise. Go figure. Who's the replaceable one now? So I guess it makes sense for me to drop in this little tidbit. At this point, there was a CFO hired in the interim of the return of my boss, the VP of Finance. So in my final 2 weeks as an employee, I continued with my work. I partially trained the interim CFO and trained 3 of my replacements consecutively. But once they reviewed my workload, 2 of the 3 decided my position was not a good match. Fast forward, it's my last week, 2 days before my last day, and the 3rd trainee just quit on site. I was surprised, but unconcerned because I had about 24 hours left of work and allegiance to this company. Now it's Thursday, the day before my last day. I hadn't heard from my boss since his receipt of my resignation. Y'all, the acting CFO approaches me with a question with which he'd questioned me before.
Corey, will you consider staying on for the rest of the month? We have no one to replace you.
Bitch, because I'm irreplaceable.
To the left, to the left.
Both he and the CEO asked me this in the weeks leading up to my departure, but I told them, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm all right. You straight? I told them I'd already accepted another position. But they were relentless, so I used that to my advantage.
Loyalty.
Now was the perfect time for me to send a message for all the unfair treatment and diabolical practices that I endured within the last 2 years of my tenure. Now was the time for me to create my own table and give them the option to take a seat.
When you're on my time, I can reclaim it.
I informed him that I'd signed a 3-month contract on my terms. What were my terms?
You know we gotta be extra when them cameras go up, 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 up. Keep on waiting like dot, 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 dot.
HR had 3 months to find my replacement, and I would continue to work up to 3 months or until they found my replacement, whichever comes first. I would only work 12 hours a month for each month up to 3 months.
Because by this time, I'd mastered time management for the responsibilities that I'd agreed to complete.
My terms also outlined that I'd agreed to train the new hire within that 12-hour cap. And working under this agreement as a contractor, I needed my hourly rate to be triple what it was when I was a salaried employee. That was it. Take it or leave it. The CEO, yeah, he called me to try and bargain. I wouldn't budge.
Loyalty.
In the 11th hour, though, the CFO called me and informed me that my offer was accepted. I thought, of course it is. You have no one and I'm an essential asset. I'm leaving you. You're not leaving me. There is a reason for this. I ended up working the full 3 months of my terms, on my terms.
It's giving boss bitch. It's giving bad bitch. Never ever play me like I'm average.
When a person has not been loyal to you, you must be loyal to yourself.
Loyalty.
When everyone has been disloyal to you, you must remember to remain loyal to yourself.
Loyalty.
This man, my former boss, he used me. He shamelessly took credit for my work.
Clock it.
He appropriated credit for countless hours I put into working and completing my responsibilities.
Clock it.
He thanked me by acknowledging others in our department, not limited to finance, and awarding them for their hard work while patting me on the back and suggesting that
If I work harder, I could someday be the recipient of a similar award or incentive.
Pocket.
He deceived others by claiming my results of my intellectual tasks and synthesized information like policies and procedures.
Loyalty.
Pocket.
And he blamed me for his heart attack after I decided to resign. His loyalty was to him.
Loyalty.
And throughout my tenure, my loyalty was to him. But in the end, mine was to me.
Comfortable in my skin, cozy. Cozy.
Incoming message from the Gated Community Podcast.
How many times have you been loyal to your job or career or even moonlight work, and it's called self-deprivation? Self-deprivation in the workplace looks like you putting your work, people at your work, and anything surrounding your work before taking care of yourself. It looks like you being stressed out because of your prioritizing work and making a mental note to check in with yourself and well-being after work. It looks like you missing your kid's recital, your brother's wedding, Christmas with your family, or that vacation that you keep putting off because, well, work. And now, how many times have you been awarded sacrificial reciprocity by your employer for putting yourself last?
Loyalty.
How long are you going to live and work in perpetuity for companies to prove your worth, gain respect, or reach goals of monetary incentive because you've entangled those things with what you deem valuable? When will you start working to live and stop living to work? What will it take for employees to hold employers accountable for getting away with demanding a 2-week notice prior to resignation, while be it fitting for employees to be terminated at any given moment?
Loyalty.
The following program contains distressing themes. Viewer discretion is advised.
America has a problem.
Anyone who has ever watched a national news program knows how irrepressible homelessness, or in PC terms, the unhoused population is in Los Angeles. So earlier this year, I was a grant accountant consultant for the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, or
LAHSA.
LAH. It's like a tongue twister. Anyways, fuck them. So it's a nonprofit organization that's fully funded by county, state, and federal grants, right? Simply put, my daily routine consisted of examining accounting documents to determine if expenditures were in accordance with specific eligibility or allowability criteria associated with various funding sources, being grant contracts. You got it? You following me? All right, good. And from there, I would prepare an analysis of budget versus actual with variances that show the total amount of money requested by subrecipients and the total amount of cash released to subrecipients, with subrecipients being partners or agencies or recipients serving those experiencing homelessness. So let's say that I owned a massive amount of land, right? And on that land, I developed a neighborhood. Within that neighborhood, I built 3 subdivisions, all of which are gated communities. See what I did there? I named them Invitation Homes, Pretty and Partners, and Amherst Holdings. If you know, you know. I developed these homes specifically for a certain demographic. Environmental racism not included. I do no advertising for the development of these 3 subdivisions, so the homes, they sit empty for a while. I don't know if y'all heard that or not, but if you did, it's my phone. It's on silent. It's not a vibrator. I promise. I do no advertising for the development of these 3 subdivisions, so the homes sit empty for a while. Months, maybe even years, who knows? Who cares, right? But I'm not worried about it because the property development, the contractors, supplies, the materials, and the monthly mortgage payments for these 3 subdivisions are being funded by county and federal grants. Follow me here. So I make sure to purchase the cheapest materials for building. I pay construction workers at minimum wage. Unless, well, nepotism, in which case I pull a page out of Mayor Tiffany Henyard and Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis's book and pay them at a high, unexplainable rate.
Allegations of corruption and political retaliation being lobbed at her from trustees, business owners, and even the Attorney General's office.
Just ghetto.
Hood rat ass bitch. You hood rat ghetto ass bitch.
And whatever monies are left over, I pocket. How is this possible? Because I send an invoice to the funder that shows everything that I paid for the development, including monies and wages for things that I did not purchase and employees or construction workers that I never hired. As long as the amount is within budget, the funder will cut a check and deduct from this particular grant until all funds are depleted. And then the funder will write another grant and the process will start all over again. It's cyclical. It's a win-win situation if the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, with the left being the grant funder and the right being the recipient, right? So remember, grants are funded by either donations or aid allocation funds specifically written into a county, state, or federal budget. For example, say like there's a hurricane. It's Hurricane Katrina, or I don't know, an earthquake like in Haiti, and I say Haiti because they're kind of notorious for having chronic earthquakes at an unusual high rate. And usually when natural, or you could say a volcano, we'll just throw Hawaii in there. And usually, well, wait, because no, that was Puerto Rico when Trump was throwing the bales of paper towels and y'all voting for, okay, I'm not going there. So usually when we have natural disasters, the governor of that state will declare a state of emergency, which means the governor will reach out to POTUS and inform them that they've used and depleted all funds that have been allocated for the cleanup in the aftermath of the natural disaster. And they need federal aid,
which is also budgeted,
to continue with cleanup and regional restoration. And just like magic, a check is written.
But nothing in this world that I like more than checks. Money. All I really want to see is the money.
Now, let's say a person wants to purchase one of my homes. I sell them one. Once the purchase is complete, they become a subrecipient. Let's say they want to use the space as a food bank. So they apply for a grant, they get approved, they get funding, and they have no intention of starting a food bank.
There's a lot of mismanagement of funds, and we're just trying to get some clarity so we can move forward and understand what's going on with all the spending.
Setting aside the audit process, they pocket the grant funding if and after expenses for the property are written in the grant to be cleared by the funder. Hold on, wait a minute, because I feel like this needs to be said. I don't know what y'all think is going on, but I'm not teaching y'all how to scam, okay? This is not what I'm doing. Please do not use this episode as some kind of scamming training camp, okay? This is not what's going on here. This is not what's going on. This is my ghetto ass way of whistleblowing, okay? So no, we don't scam. We don't keep that scamming shit. Don't be scamming.
I'ma show you bitches how to pimp a nigga. I'ma show you bitches how to pimp a nigga. Make them think you
love him, take his money, then you dip on him. Never ever.
Don't scam. What's wrong with y'all? All right, wait. So back to what I was saying. They pocket the grant funding if and after expenses for the property are written in the grant to be cleared by the funder. So if I have a nonprofit, not-for-profit grant proposal that says I need funding for materials and labor and, I don't know, meals for my employees, and the funder approves and complies, then you can essentially buy anything. I mean, obviously, like I said, again, setting aside the audit process for the sake of this conversation, because we're specifically speaking about the Los Angeles homeless population and their county, state, and federal grants, which obviously, let me not get ahead of myself. So they itemize all of these deductions and it's cleared and approved by the funder and reconciled with the budget. Proof of spending. Sometimes you have to show proof of spending. Sometimes you don't. If you don't, then you could allegedly just kind of take that money and spend it how you want. To get back on track. So the subrecipient then writes an invoice, just say once or twice a month, for $35,000. Then the invoice is submitted for approval. This is where I come in at LAHSA. I see no reason for disapproval after reviewing all the documents and everything in front of me and route it for payment. Wash, rinse, repeat. This is the type of corruption that goes on at LAHSA. It took me a while, but after learning about the misappropriation of funds by putting pieces together, I resigned. I'm just like, I can't keep a job. Remember what I was saying about integrity? No amount of money could compromise mine. Nah, I'm out. Money was flowing like water through that place, and greed seemed to be the pledge of its allegiance. Every approved grant that moves through LAHSA and most of the grant accounts that I was responsible for are largely attributed to the continuum of care: food, shelter, clothing, mental health services, drug counseling, cell phones, and resources like that for the homeless population of the county of Los Angeles. But there was no outreach. There was no outreach. The homeless have no idea that there is money being channeled and regulated for their well-being because no one is out on the streets informing them, and not just the homeless, but the general public who could also help to spread awareness. Work smarter, not harder, right? And because the unhoused are uninformed, their cash circumvents the pockets of the needy and repocket it to the greedy.
In this episode of American Greed.
The unhoused may see a small percentage of funds, but certainly not enough to make a difference. People lie, numbers don't. My attempt to whistleblow fell flat because I was unable to obtain the financial records needed to prove my findings and corroborate my suspicions, which was undoubtedly by design. Linear theft proves to be easier said and done when there are no outreach systems in place. I'm going to end it with this. Listen, unless you happen to be a person born into wealth, earned into wealth, or worked yourself into wealth, remember that money is not everything. It does not make you happy.
And if you think it does, go find yourself.
And you can't take it with you when you die. Sure, having it makes things a little easier, but if you're speeding through the life of the rat race trying to get to the bag, you'll relinquish and surrender to the most valuable thing in your path: time. The level of loyalty and devotion that police officers have amongst each other and join forces in blind support, even if it means breaching their work ethic and compromising legalities to avoid persecution, protected by qualified immunity when they murder innocent people. The loyalty exchange between government officials and lawmakers to serve their brothers in blue and protect them from justice, which is probably one of the most diabolical forms of injustice.
Or murder.
Rest in peace to Trayvon Martin. This is the level of loyalty you should expect from yourself to yourself, by yourself.
Loyalty.
And give it to others when they show you that their actions speak louder than their words. Loyalty and trust are a mutually exclusive package deal. Discernment sold separately. Loyalty in the workplace is a continuous beam of somersaults that often lands unbalanced. But we must continue to push through. Not for them, for you.
What's the point of a savior when you save yourself? That's the point. You can't. You can't save yourself. You can't make your heart feel better. You know that. You know that not enough success and performance and accolades in your life are ever going to fulfill you. You know it's something more. I'm telling you tonight, it's Jesus Christ. I want to offer you an opportunity to say, yes, that's what I want. I want him. I want his strength. I want his plan.
Sometimes it's super difficult and feels impossible to even land a job.
They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be...
Shut when you think about it.
And I'm not saying that every work environment and every workplace is unbearably dysfunctional, but complacency breeds contempt. The code switching, the check-to-check living, the Freudian slips of intrusive thoughts, the vacillating thoughts of whether you should show up as your authentic self for that job interview because your hair might not be corporate enough.
See how I come to work? Very demure. I don't wear too much makeup. I don't come showing up with wing liner and lashes. I do a little hair oil on the wig. I do a little tinted moisturizer. I do a little brow gel. Very considerate, very approachable, very demure. Let's be mindful while we're at work, ladies. This is not a fashion show. Some of you ladies come to work looking like streetwalkers with a low-cut shirt. I come very high-cut, very natural, very approachable, very demure. Let's be mindful and remember to be demure, ladies.
See, that's that judgy, toxic shit I be talking about. Girl, shut the fuck up and follow the dress code. See, ladies, I'm demure. You have to just be girl, shut the fuck. First of all, who asked you? Okay, let's start there. Dealing with getting passed over for that promotion that you were promised, the fear of leaving your current position because of the unknown. The only way to defeat all these things is by being loyal to yourself, because pardon my cynicism, but unfortunately, if someone had to choose between you and them in whatever capacity, they would always pick themselves. So pick you, even when you're led by intuition to assume that someone else will. Pick you.
Where you at?
Is this it? Is this all there is? Is this all there is? Is this all there is? There must be.
Be free. 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 Be free.
It's called a gated community.
I'm in the gated community. All the gates are
You
locked.
live in a gated community.
The girls act like you can't get in the gated community. Girl, I've been in so many gated communities.
If you don't live there and you talking about you pulling up to a bitch house, that's trespassing. Especially when it's a gated community.
African people are not pro-homosexual.
Who is having that conversation?